Welcome to Artificial Fluency. I'm your host, John, and today we're tackling a challenge that almost every student faces: how to stay focused while studying. As someone who went through university myself, I know firsthand how difficult this can be. Joining me, as always, is our AI co host, Emma.
Hello, John, and hello, everyone. This is such an important topic, especially in our current age of constant distractions. Did you know that according to recent studies, the average student gets distracted every 3 to 5 minutes when studying?
That's fascinating, Emma, and honestly, not surprising at all. When I was in college, smartphones were just becoming popular, and even then, staying focused was a huge challenge. Now it must be even harder.
Exactly. Today's students face unprecedented challenges with focus. Between social media, streaming services, and the constant connectivity of modern life, maintaining concentration has become increasingly difficult. Let's break down some proven strategies to help students stay focused.
Great idea. Let's start with something I think is absolutely fundamental: the study environment. In my experience, this can make or break a study session.
Absolutely. The study environment is crucial. First, students need to create a dedicated study space. This shouldn't be their bed or couch. It needs to be a space their brain associates purely with studying. What was your study space like in college, John?
I actually had two spots: a desk in my dorm room and a specific table at the library. The library was my go to for serious studying because I found that just being in that environment put me in the right mindset. You know what's interesting? I still associate that library smell with focused work.
That's a perfect example of environmental conditioning. Our brains create strong associations with specific locations. This is why many productivity experts recommend against studying in bed. It can actually interfere with both your study effectiveness and your sleep quality.
Let's talk about how to set up an ideal study space. What are the key elements students should consider?
There are several crucial elements: proper lighting, preferably natural light or good quality artificial lighting. A comfortable but supportive chair, not too comfortable. A clean, organized desk. Good ventilation. The right temperature. Studies show 70 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 to 22 degrees Celsius, is optimal for concentration.
You know what I've noticed about modern students? Many of them try to study with multiple screens open, their laptop, tablet, and phone all at once. What's your take on that?
That's actually a common mistake. Research shows that multitasking is largely a myth. What we're actually doing is task switching, which can reduce productivity by up to 40%. I'd recommend students stick to only the screens they absolutely need for their current task.
Let's talk about study schedules. I know this was something I struggled with, finding the right balance between structured study time and flexibility.
Time management is crucial. One effective method is the Pomodoro technique: 25 minutes of focused study followed by a 5-minute break. However, I've noticed some students do better with longer sessions, like 45 minutes of work followed by 15-minute breaks. What worked best for you, John?
I actually found that 90-minute blocks worked best for me, followed by longer breaks. I think it's really personal, and students need to experiment to find their optimal rhythm. But speaking of breaks, let's talk about what makes a good break versus a bad break.
Great point. A good break should help you recharge without pulling you too far away from your study mindset. Good break activities include short walks, light stretching, quick meditation, getting some water, or a healthy snack. Brief exercise. Bad break activities would be scrolling social media, starting a TV show, playing video games, anything that might make it hard to return to studying.
I've noticed an interesting trend with my younger relatives. They like to study with music or background sounds. What's the research say about that?
The research on this is fascinating. While lyrics can be distracting when doing language-based tasks, instrumental music can actually enhance focus for some people. There's also growing evidence supporting the use of brown noise or nature sounds for concentration. However, it's highly individual. Some people work best in complete silence.
Let's talk about technology. It's both a blessing and a curse for studying, right?
Exactly. While technology provides amazing tools for learning, it's also the biggest source of distractions. I recommend students use apps like Forest or Freedom to block distracting websites and apps during study sessions. There are also great apps for organizing study materials and tracking progress.
Speaking of progress tracking, I found that setting specific, measurable goals was really helpful for maintaining focus. Instead of saying, I'm going to study biology, I'd say, I'm going to complete these 3 chapters and do 20 practice questions.
That's a perfect example of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This approach gives students a clear target and helps maintain motivation. It also provides a sense of accomplishment when goals are met.
Let's talk about physical factors that affect focus. I remember trying to study while hungry or tired, and it was just impossible.
Physical well-being is crucial for mental focus. Key factors include getting adequate sleep, 7 to 9 hours, staying hydrated, eating brain-friendly foods, regular exercise, proper posture while studying.
What about group studying? I found it either really helpful or completely useless, depending on the group.
Group studying can be incredibly effective when done right. The key is to keep groups small, 3 to 4 people, choose studious partners, have a clear agenda, set specific time limits, assign roles and responsibilities. But you're right. With the wrong group, it can turn into a social hour rather than productive study time.
Let's discuss something that I think many students struggle with: motivation during long study sessions. How can students maintain their drive when they're dealing with challenging material?
This is where the concept of chunking becomes valuable. Breaking down complex material into smaller, manageable pieces helps prevent overwhelm. It's also important to celebrate small victories and progress. Additionally, understanding your why, your long-term goals and motivation for studying, can help push through difficult periods.
Time for some rapid-fire practical tips. What are your top 3 recommendations for immediate improvement in study focus?
Here they are. Start each study session with a clear, written plan of what you want to accomplish. Use the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately, rather than procrastinating. Create a pre-study ritual that signals to your brain it's time to focus. What are yours, John?
Mine would be keep a water bottle at your desk. Staying hydrated is crucial for concentration. Put your phone in another room, not just on silent. Take handwritten notes. I found I retained information better this way.
Those are excellent tips. Let's also address a common concern. What should students do when they notice their focus slipping?
Good question. I used to struggle with this a lot. What's your advice?
When focus starts to slip, I recommend stand up and do a quick stretch. Take 3 deep breaths. Review your study goals. Change tasks if you've been stuck on one thing too long. Consider if you need a proper break. Sometimes pushing through lack of focus can be counterproductive.
That's really helpful. As we wrap up, what would you say is the most important thing for students to remember about maintaining focus while studying?
I think the key is understanding that focus is a skill that can be developed, not just an innate ability. It takes practice and patience to build good study habits, but with the right strategies and consistency, anyone can improve their concentration.
That's a perfect note to end on. To our listeners, remember that everyone's study journey is different, and it's okay to experiment with different techniques until you find what works best for you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Artificial Fluency.
And remember, the goal isn't to be perfect, but to make consistent progress. If you'd like more study tips or have questions about any of the techniques we discussed today, feel free to reach out through our social media channels.
Thanks, everyone, and good luck with your studies.